Welcome back to Athletes Corner. My name is Khalid Gray, and I'm here to give you guys an exclusive interview with our guard for the Prairie View A&M University men's basketball team, Tanahj Pettway.
How you doing? My name is Tanahj Pettway, guard here with the Panthers from Worcester, Mass. Let's get to it.
So welcome to the TV station, Tanahj. I mean, we've been watching you play this whole season. All the fans that have been tuning into Panther Sports Zone, they've been hearing the live coverage of the things you've accomplished this whole season, the multiple weeks where you were named, one of the best players in the SWAC for the week, and even gracing, I think, statistically, even now, with the season being over, you're either number one in the SWAC or you're top two scores in the SWAC right now, and you're tied for 110th place in the entire college basketball universe in terms of points per game with 17. So a lot of stuff to talk about today we're going to unpack, but I want to start from the jump. How was it, your high school career?
Very challenging. I went to a couple different high schools. Started off at Central Catholic my freshman and sophomore year, transferred to a prep known as Putnam Science Academy. And then for my final 2 years, I went to McDuffie School, which is one of my most crucial years. I played with players like James Bouknight, Ismail Massoud, Richie Springs, Chad Venning. Those are my guys, my best friends. But it was very challenging playing with those guys and fun. It was great.
So you mentioned a NBA player type name. Mm-hmm. Bouknight is in the league, is currently right now. So we talked to Marcel previously about the level of competition it is playing at the high school level. Granted, we're from Texas, most of us from Texas, so we kind of understand what the general consensus of competition is, but you're from Massachusetts. So can you kind of talk on how Massachusetts basketball, the difference between level of competition, what do you think puts you guys apart?
I feel like it's not really anything that puts us apart. The league specifically is called NEPSAC, the Prep Showcase, is one of the best leagues all around America. They have teams from Brewster Academy, these AAA teams from all across America, IMG, that are just all collectively in this unit that becomes the best prep showcase in the league. And I feel like when you play against that kind of competition from players that are all across the globe, it really prepares you for the next step like college. So I feel like it's not really a specific thing that separates us other than just that specific league of talent collectively.
So what did you take from your high school career to take to JUCO? Because there's something that a lot of people don't really know about you is the fact that you did have 2 years of JUCO, and NCAA just put out a new, a new rule saying that the JUCO years essentially do not count towards your eligibility when you go to D1. You play D1 basketball. Yeah. So let's talk about the transfer between your high school years to your first 2 years of JUCO. You averaged, and you correct me if this is wrong, but you averaged 12.3 points your freshman year, and you averaged 10.5 points your sophomore year. So throughout both those years in JUCO, what did you take from your high school years and bring into this new universe, this new game that you had to play?
I feel like I took a lot of grit and toughness. My coach, Coach Jacques Rivera, was very strong on just being you, and anywhere you go, you always gotta make your imprint. So I feel like just being gritty, and that's the whole East Coast thing, being gritty and working hard was kind of like my thing. And for those who don't know, JUCO basketball is really, we're not given a lot of materials to that other levels have. So you kind of have to get it on your own. You have to get up, go jog. We don't have the best appliances in the weight room or even in the basketball gym. There's a basketball and there's a hoop. There's no rebounders, there's no machines. You got to do everything on your own. So with that grittiness and toughness and kind of just being mentally tough, I would say, that's what I took into my first 2 years, and basically just try to make my imprint on the JUCO level.
What were some of the development that you experienced while being at the JUCO? I know you talk about your grittiness, the mindset that you were able to develop while being there in the JUCO, but what were some intangibles, some things that you were able to transfer to your next destination in terms of your collegiate career?
Tangible. I mean, that's a That's a great way to put it. Honestly, I feel like everything boiled down to just being yourself. I feel like everything is just, you got to stay true to who you are. And so if you're someone who recognizes your situation might not be the best, you have to go out and get that thing. So you have to get up and do things that people aren't willing to do to get the success that you want to see yourself at. So
Yeah.
I feel like that was what really pushed me through, and also me feeling like I was overlooked and kind of just pushed to the side, which kind of affected my recruitment. And I would say with Indian River, that was my only option. So I felt like I had something to prove, and I had a chip on my shoulder, and that's something that I wear till today.
So we're hearing a lot of things are mental at the end of the day. There are things that we see on the court, and it separates you from a lot of the players that we've seen, specifically in the SWAC. So one of my things I was going to ask you, because before you came to Prairie View, you spent some time at a previous college. So what were some of the decisions that went into taking your step from a different conference, a different team, and transitioning to the SWAC?
I feel like the most important thing was fit. I feel like for everyone who is transitioning to a new program and a new school and a new environment, the best thing you should look at is fit. Like, does it fit your style of play? So if you're someone who, likes to get up and down, you got to look for a school for that. Or if you're a system guy, you got to look for that. So I feel like that is the major factor in my case, of why I made the decision to come to Prairie View and join the Panthers and be part of this program in history, which was mainly the reason why I thought I should come here, was because I think it fit my game really well.
And what about? Well, I'm just gonna ask it now. What about Prairie View was kind of like pulling you to come to Texas? I mean, that's far, but what about PV drew you to this basketball team?
I would honestly just say the culture is very guard orientated. So me being a guard myself, I felt like I would fit this criteria for the Panthers very well. I feel like I'm a very electric scorer, and it being a guard orientated, team, I felt like I can showcase my talents and really become great. And fun fact, I actually didn't know that Prairie View was HBCU until I got here.
Wow. Okay, kind of leading off question. Do they talk about HBCUs a lot up north? On the East Coast?
We have a few. I feel like Norfolk State, and if you want to consider North Carolina kind of over there, but no, not really. We don't really hear too much about it at all. So I think the culture, once I got here, it really grabbed me, and being around like-minded people and just everything, I kind of just consumed it, and I loved it.
So one of the biggest things about culture that we got to talk about when it comes to HBCUs, it's the difference between the social culture and the sports culture. So there's a different type of physicality it is playing in the SWAC. Plenty of players that I've interviewed and I've talked to that have talked about that there's a different level of competition. You probably won't get the foul call. You probably won't get this look from the ref. You might even hear a few off the wall comments from people out in the stands. So what do you feel like is different from playing in the SWAC compared to other conferences you've been a part of?
I would just say it's a lot more trash talk, for sure. It feels like it's personal, but it's really not personal. It's everybody trying to get the best out of each other. Yeah. So I feel like, in a way, you can compare it to like a street ball kind of look. Yeah. Like everybody's just going at each other with everything. So it's very physical. You don't get many calls. So I like that aspect. Me growing up from an inner city, growing up around street ball and always being outside and not being in the best environment all the time, I feel like it was something that I was already predestined and prepared for.
For sure. And I think one of the biggest takeaways from all of it, playing in the SWAC, is the fact that it's a lot more family. It's more of a family feel. It's more of like a neighborhood feel. When we see you guys play, at least from the outside looking in, we see that there's a difference between like the bigger or like the conferences that aren't the SWAC. Because when we're on the sideline, we're watching y'all play, I mean, there was a vivid memory. I have a vivid memory of Jordan Tillman like gnawing with somebody from Arkansas, from Pine Bluff. We know he's from Pine Bluff, but from a lot of people, we're like, oh wow, they really do not like each other. But I do think it's important that you guys talk about the difference between the SWAC, because like I said, it builds that mentality, it builds that grittiness, and you're already cut from that cloth. So it's like, I feel like that contributed to a lot of your success as well, was the fact that, I mean, you already been through the JUCO route. You know how to navigate, you know how to fight and be grit filled. And I feel like that fits this conference, but it mainly fits you. And I feel like it fits you so well that it helps you get to this point of 17 points per game, leading the SWAC. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 3 or 4 times you were named SWAC Player of the Week. And a lot of these things started coming. And then even just recently now, you've been named to the all-team SWAC, right? The SWAC all-team. It's a lot of things that you've been doing here while you've been a Panther. So can you talk about what it's been like having this much success your first year with the Panthers?
Honestly, I feel like it's just, like, not to be cliche or anything, it's just God. I give thanks to God all the time. I feel like I wouldn't be here without him. I wouldn't be here without my teammates, my coaching staff. I just feel like it's great that I was put in this position to be able to showcase my talents of who I really am as a player and show the side of people that overlooked me in a way. So I felt like it was just, I mean, it's just great. I feel like I'm a normal guy. Like, people might think I'm Hollywood or something. Like, I'm really not. I'm just a normal guy.
Yeah. Like,
if you have a conversation with me, we can have a conversation. But I'm just really grateful to be able to have that success as a Panther. For
sure. So we're going to talk about life after college. On your bio on the PV website, you've mentioned that you want to play professional basketball, that you want to excel in this sport. So I have a few questions for you past college. So my first one is, where do you see yourself in basketball after you're done with your collegiate career?
I feel like I'll become a pro at any level. That could be overseas, G League, NBA, whatever's in store for me. I never want to just put all my apples in one basket. Like, if it's the NBA, like, oh, I need to get there. I feel like becoming a professional at this level is great in itself, because as a kid, all you think about and dream of is becoming a professional athlete and getting paid for the sport that you love. So I feel like at this point, it's just whatever, and it all goes back to fit, whatever best fits me and my situation at the moment. I'm more than happy. I'm more than happy with that.
That's cool. So one of our final questions, right? We were reading up on you, and we found out that it's just so funny bringing it up, is the fact that I Am Legend is one of your movies. So a lot of the athletes, that we talk to, they have a movie or like this thing that they grew up talking, they talk, Marcel, for example, we keep mentioning it, but the way that he would talk about Polar Express, you did a perfect impression of him. You don't have to repeat it. It's funny though, but you did a perfect impression of how, he would express his love for Polar Express. But you is I Am Legend. And you included the fact that, if a zombie apocalypse does happen, you have a dog as well. So it kind of just, when we talk about the fit, I feel like it's a perfect fit. But talk about the I Am Legend movie and how,
With that, Will Smith is one of my favorite actors. Between him and Denzel, there's a lot of people rank those two right there, but he's a great actor. I feel like in a zombie apocalypse, if that was a situation that I would be afraid of, it would be that. I don't think any other movie portrays zombies that crazy. Maybe World War Z. But But other than that, just him in the acting standpoint of just making me feel like I was actually there as a kid. And it just put like an imprint on me that was my favorite movie. Until today, like, I watch that movie all the time. It's like one of those comfort movies, like, you know what I'm saying? So, and I have a dog. For those who don't know, I have a black lab and a mini dachshund.
Word.
Lila and Lola, they're both females. Leave it at that. But they're great dogs. So I feel like if I was in an apocalypse and that had to happen, him losing his dog, seeing what it did to him, it being on the last the last people on the earth, not knowing. I feel like it's a real thing that could maybe happen. Who knows?
Cordyceps might even do Last of Us.
Last of Us, I played that game, favorite game.
Respect you even more now.
But yeah, I think that's what it just left the imprint on me as a kid. I just really felt like I was a part of the process with him.
For sure. So, final question, right? Allen Iverson. You know, how important was Allen Iverson to the development of your game, development for the love of the game? Just talk about the influence of Allen Iverson on your life.
Allen Iverson was a big imprint, I feel like, on a lot of kids in this generation. With the crossover, the swag, the do-rag, the braids. I had braids. But just also the environment that he came from is something I could resonate with a lot. Not coming from much, being in the inner city, having a lot of distraction, gangs, you know, people dying. I have my fair shares of that. So I feel like with him dealing with all those things and overcoming it through his success with basketball and still persevering through all the trials and tribulations that he had to go through is something that I see myself in, and I resonate as a player and as a person on and off the court. So, like, and a lot of people mistake his famous line of practice, talking about actually practice. It wasn't had anything to do with that.
Nothing to do with practice.
Because I had a similar experience with that with someone who I knew very close who passed away, and a lot of people talking to me about outside things when I'm dealing with inside stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of things that he just went through as a person, I can understand, and on the court of like just him being himself.
Yeah.
Changing the game and his swag and just the way that he was, really helped me like become who I am today.
Word. That's dope. That's why athletes are important, and really getting to understand, know the athletes, see them, because athletes are a lot of black kids' modern day role models. So I have one last thing for you to do for Panther Sports Zone and Athletes Corner. We ask a lot of people to do this because we want people to have this quotable to come off of. So my question to you is, what is something that you could tell the audience, whether it could be inspirational, it could be something funny? What last comments do you have for the audience?
I would say just always stay true to yourself. Your time is always going to come. You're never counted out. Always believe in yourself, and faith over fear, no matter what.
Word. Well, this has been an amazing episode of Athletes Corner, joined with Tanahj Pettway, the leading scorer in the SWAC, and Khalid Gray. But we hope you guys enjoyed. You can follow us on YouTube with KPVU-TV. You can also follow us on Instagram and other socials at KPVU-TV as well. Panther Sports Zone post Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2. It will be recorded at Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. But you can find us on YouTube, like I just previously mentioned. But this has been Khalid Gray with, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of Athletes Corner.